Today I'm going to tell you why, after owning the Solar 42 for just a little over 30 days, I still think it's one of the most awesome and amazing synthesizers that I've ever used. And throughout this video, I'm also going to show you some cool sound demos, so I'm really excited about this, so let's get going. I've formed a deep connection with this instrument, with this synthesizer, in a way that's just so different than anything else I've owned. And I can't really describe it. I mean, I know that you can do all the same types of things that you can do with this, with other types of synthesizers, and of course with modular, and even with DAWs. If you've never used hardware before, it's just not the same. It's just not the same when you do it in software. Even if you have control surfaces that you hook to your DAW, you know, if you of course have your keyboard, but then you have different knobs and faders that you can hook to your DAW, it's not the same as having dedicated knobs and faders that are specifically built for the different oscillators, sequencer, and sound making devices. And so the way that's all put together in this package just really works well. And every time I come back to it, it just gives me new ideas to do things that I've never done before with any other instrument that I own. Somebody commented in one of my earlier videos that they estimated that it would take like $10,000 to equal what you can do with this with modular gear, or maybe even more than that, 10,000 American dollars. I certainly don't consider it to be low cost, that's for sure. But I think that overall it is a really good value for what you can do with it. Just to show you how sensitive these light sensors are for sound control, I've turned down the lights and I'm using a candle and then a lighter. Tricky to use, but pretty cool if you can do it right. One thing that I was kind of concerned about before I got the Solar 42 is that I thought that it was really just for ambient. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I also like to do melodic type stuff. You know, so I thought, you know, with the way these oscillators kind of go in and out of tune, and the lack of MIDI, that maybe I wouldn't really be able to incorporate it into my studio the way I do other types of things. But it turns out that that's really not true at all. You can use it for ambient drone type stuff, of course, you know, that's what it was designed for, but you don't have to. For example, if you split the keyboard into twin mode, you can actually play two different things on the keyboard using VCO-A VCO-B. Another thing that really enhances the way that you can use this is if you use the direct outs. If you use the direct outs for VCO-A and VCO-B, then you can record those separately on your multi-track recorder or your DAW, and then you can add effects in post. Another thing I found out fairly quickly is that you can synchronize the Solar 42 to other devices pretty easily. You can sync it to your DAW, you can sync it to an MPC, sequencers, other types of hardware. It's really not that difficult at all to do that, which just further extends the versatility of the synthesizer. In this example here, I've got the Synthstrom Deluge synchronized to the Solar 42. And you can see how it stays locked in time even whenever I change the tempo. So we're going to go ahead and launch the clip that is playing VCO-B from the Synthstrom Deluge. Now we'll go ahead and launch the rhythm. Now we're going to go ahead and adjust the tempo, make it faster. All right, I think you get the idea there. In case you're wondering about the filter, it's pretty beefy. Go ahead and stick this on hold here. Set the pitch. I've got the filter set on link so that the frequency control for the left side controls both the left and right filters because they are in stereo. Got the resonances set so they're about the same. Turn that resonance all the way down. I think it does a pretty good job. Plus, there's other filters that are built into some of the effects cartridges, so those can be really handy to use also. And like I mentioned earlier, you can output VCO-A and VCO-B separately so that they're not affected by the internal effects, and then you can apply different types of filters externally, either in your DAW or with external effects connected to this. One of the effects cards I really like is the generator card. All of the sounds that you're going to hear right now are not coming from any other voice, they're just coming from that effects card. So if you get bored with some of the voices for some reason, you've got other options to explore. And if you really like glitchy video game sounds from like the 80s, I think you're going to like this. Here I set up a rhythmic pattern by placing a patch cable into the 1 volt per octave input of VCO-A. Without connecting the other side to anything, this brings it down automatically to its very, very lowest pitch. Then I'm using the pulsar to trigger the gate, and that's where you're getting that pulsation effect there. You can see here I can change the pitch. At the same time, I have the gate output of the sequencer here going into the gate of voice number 6. And the only thing I have going on with voice number 6 is that I've got the noise turned all the way up. So that sort of kind of simulates a snare. Not really, I know, but you do get a rhythmic pattern that you can then layer other things over if you want to. This is helpful whenever you're using the Solar 42 standalone and you don't have a separate drum machine hooked up to it. It's not a replacement, of course, for having external rhythm, but You know, it can make your standalone patches and sound design that you do with the Solar 42 more interesting. So hopefully what you've seen in this video, combined maybe with other videos that you might have watched about the Solar 42, has given you enough information where if you're thinking about getting one, that you can make the right decision. Because it's definitely not necessarily a synthesizer that's going to be great for everybody. If you've never used a hardware synthesizer before, I don't know if that's necessarily the right choice, but it could be. I don't want to say it's not. So I think you can see that after over 30 days of using this every day and getting to know it, that I realized that this was, for me, a really good investment. It was not one of those impulsive buys that we often make where we think it's going to be great and then it ends up going in the closet within a week or two. I really do think that this, especially since I can incorporate it into my other workflows with the DAWs and other sequencers that I have, this is going to be a pretty big part of my studio for probably years to come. I also think, I can't say for sure, but because of the fact that this is handmade and supply seems to be less than demand, I think there could be a day where these Solar 42s, not just the Solar 42N, but the previous versions as well, are going to be worth a lot of money. I really do. I think that this is a classic in the making and a legend in the making. And it's probably going to be talked about for a long time. If you haven't seen my video that I did when I first got this, be sure and check that out. I've also got a couple other videos where you can clip launch from a device like the MPC. You know, they got that new MPC 3 that just came out, but you can also use the older MPCs. And also the Akai Force is another one. I may make a video that specifically shows how the Akai Force can be used, but there's so many different inputs and outputs for this. Like if you wanted to trigger all of the different oscillators, you're going to be better off using something like the MPC Live or the MPC X because they have more CV and gate outputs that you can use. You can also sequence modulation on this, which is really technical, but you could make it where, for example, the oscillators can alter in pitch so that even when using voices like 3 and 6, you could get more than one pitch out of it, which would give you extra mileage on this thing and more creative possibilities. I do want to mention that at the time this video was uploaded, I am not sponsored by any company at all. And right now I'm not even making any money off those ads that you see on YouTube. So thank you for watching and have a great day.